2 persons have been found dead in Mulikwata, that's in the Upper Bunduma neighborhood of Buea in the southwest region of Cameroon in the most tragic circumstances. The man and a woman died in the night, breaking this Tuesday. In this edition of the news, we tell you that a Cameroonian-born political analyst is raising questions and concerns over what he qualifies as a potential constitutional inconsistency in the presidential succession plan in Cameroon. In a letter addressed to the Constitutional Council's president in Cameroon, the political actor asked questions that will be presented to you in the course of this edition of the newscast. Plus, in health, over 1,000 persons have been declared positive or detected with cholera in another wave of outbreak that is rocking Cameroon in the far north region of Cameroon. Some over 8 health districts across the far north region so far have been confirmed to have cholera cases. But why is this recent outbreak of cholera spreading across the region is a question to be answered in this edition of the news. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for choosing to be informed by the best of television network across Cameroon and the Central African sub-region. This is Equinoxe Television on our primetime newscast, live from our central news desk in Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala. Welcome. Once again, we are glad to have you tonight on the primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Now, we're starting on human interest to say that 2 persons have been found dead inside a house in Mulikwata, that's in Quarter 10 of Upper Bunduma, a neighborhood in the city of Buea, chief town of the southwest region of Cameroon, in circumstances that have caused local residents to say that the demise might have been caused by charcoal fume poisoning. That is after the victims reportedly burned charcoal indoors to keep warm during a cold season in the town of Buea. Rexafon is a man on that beat from our Buea desk.
What began as a night indoors has ended in tragedy at Mulikwata 10, Upper Bunduma. The bodies of 2 persons have been discovered inside this house, raising concerns over what may have caused their deaths. One of the deceased is a man identified by residents as Su, said to be in his early 30s, the son of the owner of the house. The second victim is a woman identified as Jemanza Fanui Fortunate. Residents say she is not known in the neighborhood and had reportedly arrived at the house with Su on Sunday night. With temperatures dropping and the night reportedly very cold, the 2 are said to have resorted to burning charcoal inside this charcoal pot in an attempt to keep warm.
They have to sleep. I only hear population come from my door, they will knock and call. Say, you can die from Mr. Peter house.
Some residents suspect that the fumes from the charcoal, plus the airtight nature of the room at the time, may have caused their deaths, but this has not yet been officially confirmed.
Yes, so as for now, Commissioner said they don't call police.
Authorities are expected to establish the exact circumstances surrounding their deaths, including whether the charcoal fumes were responsible or something else. Their bodies have been deposited at the Buea Regional Hospital mortuary while investigations continue.
An unfortunate incident indeed that has left neighbors and local residents shocked in Buea. Now, we're leaving the southwest region up north to the far north, call it the extreme north region of Cameroon, to say that a new outbreak of cholera is gaining ground in that region of the country, with 8 health districts so far now officially affected. More than 1,100 cases have been reported, in some over 31 persons so far dead. Health officials and authorities are intensifying surveillance and community sensitization in order to be able to contain the spread of cholera across that region, but also parts of Cameroon. Innocent Ase has more in the following report.
The figures paint a worrying picture. 1,119 cholera cases have been notified in the far north since the disease was confirmed on June 29, 2026. With the 01 Ogawa serotype identified, 31 people have died, representing a 2.77% case fatality rate, while 114 patients are currently receiving treatment. The epidemic is confirmed in 8 health districts: Mada, Makari, Kuseri, Fotokol, Kolofata, Mora, Marwa 1 and Mokolo. Marwa 3 is also under suspicion, bringing to 9 the number of districts under heightened concern. At community level, 32 health areas have reported cases. The affected areas stretch across several parts of the region, including Fotokol, Kolofata, Limani, Marwa, Makari, Darak, Blangoa, Minawao, and Domayo too. The response is now shifting further into communities. On August 6, health personnel and community health workers in the Kolofata Health District were briefed on cholera surveillance and case management with support from Doctors Without Borders. From August 7, cholera prevention messages have also been incorporated into the third round of the seasonal malaria tumor prevention campaign. The objective is to reach families where prevention begins in homes and communities. Residents are being urged to drink safe water, wash their hands regularly with soap, properly cook and handle food, and seek medical attention immediately in case of acute watery diarrhea or vomiting. With 31 lives already lost and the transmission reported across 32 health areas, the Far North is racing against time to prevent this outbreak from claiming more victims.
Innocent has said there, and we talk something else. In the economic capital city, a distressed businessman is counting losses of more than 600 million francs CFA after a fire incident destroyed his commercial shop in the Aqua, that is the business district of the city of Douala. He is pointing fingers at a long-standing land dispute, although the exact cause of the blaze remains unclear. Immaculate Fogwe has more in the following report.
Charred boots, helmets, and piles of burnt work equipment now fill what was once a thriving shop in Aqua Douala. A Friday night fire has destroyed the entire content, with the owner estimating his losses at more than 600 million francs CFA.
I think they crossed through this medium. If you enter here, you have to see inside here where they burst the hole to put fire. Unfortunately, there was ties on the particular section. Then still inside here in the other room, you will see the ladder that they had to climb through the ladder, then end the fire right up because in the warehouse we had 3 sections.
The owner says thieves had previously broken into the property and made away with goods worth about 30 million francs CFA.
2 weeks ago, we came, since we are also waiting for another container, we came to try to arrange the warehouse. We discovered that through the back from the apartment where they used the same method to remove my neighbor, thieves came through that apartment, burst our warehouse from the 3rd floor, removed things.
The incident comes amid a long-standing dispute over the ownership of the land. One occupant, who was reportedly arrested and detained after he refused to leave the premises, explains.
For more than 16 years. One evening, I was going back home. My employer called me that there are police here, that they want to arrest her. After then, I asked my landlord what to do. He told me to go and open my shop, that there's a problem there, but it doesn't concern us. After 3 days, they come and arrest me.
According to the landlady, she had entrusted her husband's friend, Ndobu Fankwa Daniel, with helping her process the land title. We had agreed that he will receive 15% once the land title was obtained. But to my greatest surprise, I later discovered that he had put his name on the title. He went to the 4th police station and brought the police to chase everyone out of here after filing the fake documents at the court. When my husband discovered this, he fought back. We have been in dispute with him for 14 years. We have never experienced any theft here. I am convinced that he orchestrated this act. This is my home, and he has no right to chase anyone away from here. Attempts to get Ndobu Fankwa Daniel's side of the story were unsuccessful, as he declined to comment when contacted on phone. The matter has been reported to the police, and they are now expecting that an investigation will shed light on the cause of the inferno.
That's quite unfortunate indeed. Just over 1 month after 3 weeks after Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai, who is the governor of Cameroon's southwest region, while in a security coordination meeting in Manfi, chieftain of the Manyo division of the region, warned that chieftaincy disputes were tearing families apart. The selection of the chief-elect of Great Sopo, a village in Buea subdivision of the Fako in the southwest region, has opened what officials and observers describe as fresh wounds and chapters. This was during an exercise that has so far been said to be controversial and have so far left many persons divided in their opinions. However, a chief was selected to lead the Great Sopo village of Buea subdivision, as Rexafon tells us once again in the following report.
Barely 1 month and 3 weeks after Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai warned that chieftaincy disputes are tearing families apart,
recurrent chieftaincy disputes across numerous communities continue to fracture social cohesion and peaceful coexistence. Of equal concern are the broken divisions, those disputes create within families and grassroots communities.
The outcome of the consultative talks at the Great Support Chiefdom appears to have split the royal family into 2 camps.
We told the SGO we had sacked our family head. He was no longer a family head, but he took part in the consultations. 3 people came up there to contest the legitimacy of family heads, but they took part in the consultation. The woman is never a family head or a kingmaker of a land, but she took part in the consultations. The SDO was incompetent. He did not take down our observations properly. He said that the man was his colleague, which shows gross favoritism and irregularity.
Beyond the accusing fingers pointed at the administration, some believe the traditional procedure for selecting the chief was not respected.
It is not every Monono who is a Wufike. The chiefs are supposed to be selected from the Wufike family. And normally when the Wufike family meets, 50 to 60 people sit down to select a chief. That procedure did not exist. A meeting was called for the Wufike family and the meeting was cancelled. The chief has been selected without any discussion with the royal family.
Dr. Absalom Wolua Monono, the chief-elect chosen by all 7 kingmakers of Great Sopo, says he is grateful to the people and his ancestors and pledged to work tirelessly to unite the village in peace.
Amongst the chiefs who have living children, I'm the youngest son. And so for me to have been selected, it means God and the ancestors paved this way for me. My major concern will be to unite the people of Great Sopo.
Hundreds of Great Sopo residents gathered to witness the selection process, which lasted just about 2 hours.
And we're staying in the Fako division of the southwest region to say that local councils in Cameroon suffer from insufficient operational budget, strict reliance on state allocations, and the matter is said to have been worsened by the recent measures from the central government of Cameroon restricting local councils from direct tax collection. And the council so far has said this is affecting developmental projects in the municipality, and the case in point is the Tico Council of the Fako division. The mayor of the Tico Council highlighted some of these challenges as he commemorated the 15th edition of the African Decentralization and Local Development Day. It was in the presence of our reporter, Malak Glory.
Local councils across Cameroon face severe financial distress, leaving employees with months or even years of unpaid salaries.
Today, somebody will hear that there's a council that's only 12 months salary, the workers some 18 months, and the rest. They'll be insulting the mayors. They'll be trained on insult. They go look at it.
They often rely on central state allocations and recent measures that restrict direct local tax collection.
From advertisement tax and everything, they started withdrawing these taxes gradually from the hands of the council. And today, we have it that councils don't have any power any longer to do its collection. It is taxation that have to do it on council's behalf.
Chief Peter Mesoso Ekome, mayor of the Tico Council, was speaking during an event marking the 15th edition of the African Decentralization and Local Development Day alongside the 9th African Civil Registration and Vital Statistics Day. They call on the state to implement stricter measures for decentralization to be effective on ground.
It is good if all the stakes put in place are respected.
The recommendations that we came out today, first of all, the population needs to be sensitized. And then also, we were on the opinion that we're recommending that this waste, most of the solid waste, should be transformed.
The meeting held at the Tico Council Hall in the Fakwa Division of the Southwest Region brought together council authorities and other state officials who called for patience.
Decentralization is a process. We cannot build, the same Rome was not built on the earth. Just like decentralization, it's a gradual process. That thing, we are moving.
The 15th edition of the African Decentralization and Local Development Day was celebrated under the theme Empowering Local Authorities for Sustainable Water and Sanitation, advancing resilient, inclusive and sustainable cities and territories towards Agenda 2063.
I'll go deeper into institutions to say that a political scientist, Paul Stefan Manuga in Cameroon, is raising concerns and questions about what he says are a potential inconsistency or constitutional inconsistencies in Cameroon's presidential succession framework. In a letter addressed to the president of the Constitutional Council in Cameroon, Manuga drew attention to the relationship between the provisions governing the vice presidency and those governing the vacancy at the helm of the nation. Staffman Babla Jonathan has greater details in the following report.
What happens in Cameroon if the presidency becomes vacant while the position of vice president remains unfilled? The question is the central focus of an open letter addressed to the president of the Constitutional Council by political scientist Paul Stefan Menunga. According to him, the issue concerns a possible scenario in which the presidency becomes vacant at a time when the position of vice president has not been filled. Menunga says the Constitution provides that in the event of the death, resignation or duly established permanent incapacity of the President of the Republic, the Vice President will complete the presidential term. The political scientist adds that the law governing the organization and functioning of the Constitutional Council provides that the Council may be seized by the Vice President when it is called upon to establish the President's permanent incapacity. Menunga therefore asks what procedure will apply if the Vice Presidency were vacant at the very moment such a constitutional determination becomes necessary. Says a similar question could arise in the event of presidential resignation. For him, the relevant provision provides for the president's resignation letter to be addressed to the president of the Constitutional Council and to the vice president. The political scientist questions what mechanism will apply, however, if no vice president had been appointed. Menunga stresses that his intervention should not be understood as a challenge to the validity of the constitutional and legislative texts already adopted and promulgated. Rather, he describes his move as a contribution aimed at drawing attention to what he considers a political possible gap or ambiguity in the practical application of those provisions. He argues that where the Constitution allows for the possibility that a particular office may remain vacant, the legal framework should also clearly identify which authority will assume the relevant procedural role in the absence of the office holder.
And in news out of the Cameroonian frontiers, we take you to the nation of Senegal in West Africa to say that the country's National Assembly opened its first extraordinary session for the year. On the agenda, 5 bills and another political clash between the Sonko and Jomaye camp. And in South Africa, that's the Rainbow Nation, 14 miners are said to have died in Johannesburg after a rockfall. Most of the victims came from Lesotho, as Sidi Chakuju tells us in the following roundup.
A rockfall at an illegal mine in the northwest of Johannesburg killed 14 clandestine miners, most of them from Lesotho, with several people wounded and others possibly still stuck on the ground. Thousands of unregistered miners, known as Zamas, operate in South Africa, scavenging abandoned mines for gold and other minerals in perilous conditions. Illegal miners working in South Africa come from several countries across the region, driven by poverty and unemployment, and the sector has been linked to organized crime, assassination, extortion, and other illegal activities. In Senegal, the National Assembly President Ousmane Sonko opened the first extraordinary session of the year on Monday, August 10, 2026. Over the 2 weeks, members of parliament will examine 5 bills in total. 2 of these bills, supported by the PASEF majority, will be considered under emergency procedures. Highly political, they will once again prolong the confrontation in the chamber between Ousmane Sonko's camp and that of Bassirou Diomaye Faye. The PASTEF party is asking the revision of Article 37 of the Constitution. This amendment will require the head of state to declare their assets at the end of their term rather than only upon taking office. The measure was already included in the revision of the Supreme Law adopted by the National Assembly at the end of June, a revision immediately invalidated by the Constitutional Council, a setback for Ousmane Sonko's camp.
And in sport, 2 Lionesses will clash in one of the semi-finals of the Women's African Cup of Nations ongoing in the Northern African Kingdom of Morocco this Wednesday. That will be tomorrow. The indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon say that it is a familiar territory, but for the hosted nation, Morocco, it is a 3rd consecutive semi-finals appearance in the Women's African Cup of Nations history. Meanwhile, Algeria and Malawi are also chasing history as both teams hunt for the first ever spot in the finals of the Women's African Cup of Nations. Smart Njikan Gabriel has more in the following report.
The Cameroon versus Morocco clash is experience versus momentum. Qualifying for the semi-final is something huge, and together we shall go further until the final. I felt that they have the same goal like me. Nothing is surprising to me since I knew them and I knew their strength. It might be surprising for you who don't see them or be with them always. The indomitable Lionesses are making their 13th WAFCON appearance and have finished runners-up 3 times in 2004, 2014 and 2016.
We came here with a plan, we stuck with the plan, and we did everything to win. So we were not thinking about losing.
Since 2 months we work on it to believe in it. This is simple. One more time, I just feel proud. I feel proud of these girls. They did amazing work. We asked them a lot since the beginning.
Morocco, the Atlas Lionesses, are in their 5th tournament and have reached the final in the last 2 editions in 2022 and 2024. They have become more than continental giants. Interestingly, these two have barely met. Just one official friendly back on September 16, 2021, which Morocco won 1-0. The first game of the day between Algeria and Malawi is a guaranteed history maker. Neither team has ever reached a WAFCON semi-final before this year. Algeria is in its 7th WAFCON and has finally broken through its group and quarter-final ceiling. And Malawi, complete debutants, ranked 153rd in the world, the Scorchers' run to the Final 4 is already one of the greatest stories in African women's football. The 2 nations have also never faced each other at senior level, so this will be a first. Heading into the semis, Malawi has the tournament's most prolific attack with 9 goals. Morocco has the meanest defense, just 1 goal conceded in 4 matches. Cameroon has scored 7 and conceded 3.
And that sports report from Sir Martin Yukangebe brings us to the end of this primetime edition of the news on Equinoxe television. We thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. I will urge you to continue to stay in the company of interesting programs on your #1 television network across Cameroon and the Central African sub-region. Our next edition of news will be at 8 p.m. It will be a complete edition in the French language. Ask for me. I'm going to be back here tomorrow, same time, on same platform. Stay blessed. Have a nice evening.